The Hyoudou brothers murdered by the mere whim of a psychopath who wanted war. Now from the ashes those who died will return to rise above every being that opposes them and demonstrate to the supernatural beings the power of the two Sekiryuuteis who will fight against everyone and prevent someone else from suffering their fate of dying by a supernatural being, by killing them. Chapter 1, Prologue. Michael 16310. Presenting himself in his first fanfic on fanfiction. In the first also from High School DxD, in a strange crossover also with Assassin's Creed. I know it's strange but there's no reason not to give it a chance, right? OWO it's a shame it's only the prologue. HOMEOOOOOO. P.S. Those who have played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood may already imagine why Silver Mask you and please listen to this song during the chapter. Nathan Larson, of Evil Pastoral. The Sekiryuuteis Silver Mask. Forward. Hello, my name is Hyoudou Issei. I am 15 years old, I live in the city of Kuo and I am currently studying at the school of the same name. What? My parents? Well, I don't have one, don't be sad, okay. I am not alone, my twin sister Arya accompanies me in life. Well, I'm not a normal guy, popular. Never, I'm practically a nobody. Well, I'll tell you something about me, well, you could say that my sister and I have something in common apart from physical appearance. She and I are otakus who are passionate about anime and video games. I remember that we were saving for a year just to be able to buy a PlayStation 3, what times those were. Back then my sister and I were very childish. I remember that one of our favorite sagas was one called Assassin's Believe. My sister and I did everything possible to have the games as soon as they came out to pre-order, yes, because we are the typical gamers who want to have everything in terms of DLC. But also because we could wait so long to buy them in stores, plus in Japan there is a shortage of games of that type. My sister and I, in our vice, thought, hey, why don't we dress like them? And well, I remember that my sister loved an assassin named Aveline de Grand Pré. We spent a long time looking for the materials to make the suit that Arya Tanto wanted. And after half a month of searching we found them all to take us a full month to make the suit. It looked good. What character do I like from Assassin's Creed? 1. Not very well known, remember the Brotherhood? Well, no. It's not Ezio Auditore da Firenze, it's another. His name is, El Galen. But, sadly I could never dress as him. But leaving the subject aside. I'll tell you about my school. Kuo High School. Ah, what a beautiful place, really beautiful. A short time ago it was an exclusive school for girls and ladies of high category but a very high one. But about 2 months ago it became coeducational so finally Arya and I were able to be together. And thank God we were in the same room since we were planning to go in if it became mixed, well, let me tell you about my sister. It's okay. She is a beautiful woman. She has beautiful long brown hair down to her back, with a lock that covers her right cheek. Her eyes, like mine, are amber. No. I won't tell you about her breasts. I'm not a pervert. But I must say that she is pretty, very cute. What am I thinking? Well, I'll tell you one of my very recent experiences. About 2 days ago, while I was reading a bit of the Spider-Man comics magazine walking on a bridge on the way to my home. Hey, don't interrupt. And my sister Issei, well, she leaves earlier because she is so intelligent that in the afternoons she leaves without problems but I have such bad grades that I have to stay to reinforce physics, chemistry and math. That's why I'm leaving late. Returning to the topic, while I was walking across that long bridge, a woman with hair as black as the night approached me in a red uniform and gray skirt, quite pretty, to tell the truth. What happened that day was something unexpected but it made me very happy. She, Anno, Etta, are you Hyoudou Issei? That strange pretty girl asked me that day, so I left my comic in my right hand and paying attention to it, I looked at her strangely. Issei, yes, miss, I responded politely so as not to sound like a jerk. After all I didn't want to make a bad impression on a beautiful lady like her or you offered anything. I asked still thinking, what would she want with me? Indications, help. Has it been lost? Well, my name is Amano Yuma. And I've seen you pass by here several times, the girl with black hair told me as she approached me and I was surprised, maybe she, and I wanted to ask you would you go out with me? Oh holy God, I was paralyzed, my heart was beating like never before. The thing is, I have no experience in dealing with women other than my sister, much less if they are as beautiful and innocent as this one. Had she had a confession, well, the truth is I couldn't deny that she was beautiful. I've never had a girlfriend. And maybe, she'll help me forget Arya. Issei, well, why not Yuma-chan? I asked animatedly with a smile, I felt happy. I really felt happy. Do you think it's Saturday in 2 days? I asked while looking into her eyes. Damn, what deep and beautiful eyes this girl has. Yuma. Yes, the black-haired woman shouted excitedly, I'll see you at the mall, Issei-kun. Then she kissed my cheek and I blushed. Holy. I didn't know that kisses from women who weren't family members were they felt so good. Goodbye Issei-kun, I love you, she shouted and then ran away looking at me and saying goodbye with her right hand. For my part, I stood smiling and with my heart beating on the bridge, while I was sweating and felt warm where my heart was, a very pleasant sensation. Is this what it feels like to be loved? I love it, Issei, sigh ah. How cute she was, well. I'll tell Oni, I said excitedly, my Oni would be happy to know that she had a date, oh so I thought. That day at Issei's house. Arya, What did you do? She yelled at me furiously. Damn, I hadn't seen her like this since I couldn't pre-order Assassin's Creed Revelations. Oni-chan could be a stalker, she yelled while looking at me with a frown. Issei, but Oni-chan. She seems very pretty, I answered her, plus she didn't seem to have bad intentions, I told her, and then I saw that she was still looking at me upset. I also saw a certain shine in her eyes, but I didn't know what it was, and without anything else to tell me she resigned, crossing her arms and snorting. Arya, okay. But I'll follow them closely, she said, so I'll see if she has bad intentions. Oh no. Issei, it's okay Oni-chan, I said smiling. And after that, I find myself here in the middle of the Kuo City shopping center, waiting for my girlfriend, while my heart beats excitedly. Yes, today I wanted it to be a great day. Ch1 of 12 next. Chapter 2, Chapter 1, Death. Chapter 1, The Appointment and the Awakening. The brunette was in the middle of the shopping center with his hands in his pockets. He was nervous but at the same time excited. He had never been on a date and the idea of having one excited him greatly. Maybe he could even kiss her. Good heavens, the chestnut tree's heart was beating 1,000 per second, almost like that of a rabbit due to the emotion he felt. Issei, I can't wait any longer. I'm excited. It's great that you save a lot, she said while taking out her wallet, showing 10 bills of 10,000 each. Ha. Maybe I can even invite him to see the new Resident Evil movie. Then when Issei was making more plans for his date with Yuma, a strange little girl with dark brown hair, bright green eyes, a pink jacket with a strange symbol on the back and jeans along with heels approached him with a cute innocent smile. Girl, we fulfilled your wishes, young man, she said excitedly while giving her a brown paper with a star in what seemed to be an old circle, and then the girl disappeared, leaving the brunette surprised. Issei, you wait a minute, if my memory serves me right, this symbol is the Star of the Antichrist, he said terrified as he took the paper and tore it to shreds, and then they were blown away by the wind. The boy gave a sigh. Fees, and maybe I got into a satanic sect or something like that. It's a good thing I always listen to my brain. Ready, he said smiling while he lightly hit his skull. Moments later, while Issei was waiting in the distance, his date arrived, his long-awaited and beloved Yuma-chan, dressed in a dark red jacket, a light pink skirt, black heels and an indigo blue blouse. Yuma, smiling, good morning Issei-kun. I'm sorry for making you wait, the girl said sweetly and happily as she looked at him. Issei, no problem Yuma-chan, he said while taking her hand. Well, come on, I'll take you to the movies, she said as she started walking next to the black-haired girl. Yuma, hi, he said happily, following the brunette. Near them was Arya eating a chocolate donut while she typed some notes on her cell phone about everything she observed. Then when she saw her twin and that Harpy leaving in the direction of the cinema, she finished her donut and with a tired look she shook her hands, and then put them in her black jeans and followed the two. Really Arya hated with all her might that mutant lizard from outer space that was so attached to her brother. Arya, when I discover your intentions, damn lizard, I will make sure to break all your bones and throw you into the crusher so that you will never see my Oni-chan in daylight again in your stinking life, she said as she entered the theater behind from both. After the movie that the three saw, Issei and Yuma went out. She was not very fond of that type of genre, but she couldn't deny that she thought it was good, while Issei and Arya were secretly stupefied with her, because she had never in their lives they thought that Nemesis would be brought to the big screen, but they both had the same thought. Issei, Arya, fantastic. I want to see her again. But it will be another day, both twins thought at the same time without realizing it. Then Issei and Yuma went to the clothing stores where Yuma tried on clothes for the brunette, and rarely did they have an effect on him. Perhaps because he wasn't a pervert, or because he didn't understand the black-haired girl's intentions. Better said, both things would be more accurate. Then after that, while they were walking looking for something else to do, Issei noticed that the lady next to him was looking suspiciously at a pretty pink bracelet on a shelf. Then Issei smiled and left it in front of her. To the store, he entered and bought the bracelet, being surprised at how cheap it was. Of course all this was seen by Yuma, who was surprised, and then the brunette arrived next to her. Issei, smiling, for you. Then he took out the pink bracelet from a bag and put it on Yuma's right wrist. As a memory of this day we spent together, he said while giving the black-haired girl a blushing hug. The truth was that Issei had no idea what the hell he was doing, he just got carried away. Yuma, blushing, thank you Issei-kun, she said while hugging him. While a little away from there, Orisa was watching that scene with great anger. Arya, grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr run out broke, she destroyed it with impressive ease to try to get even. And after that scene, Issei and Yuma, still followed by Arya, arrived at the city park. Issei and Yuma were in front of the pool and Arya was hiding among the trees spying on them, begging the sky for the opportunity to rip her head off. Kill that harpy once and for all to satisfy her anger. Yuma, smiling and facing Issei, I had a lot of fun with you today, Issei-kun. Thank you very much. Issei, I know, I also had a lot of fun with you, Yuma-chan, said the brunette. It was really true. He felt great heat in his chest when he looked at her. Yuma, Issei-kun, could I ask you a small favor? Asked the girl while making a doubtful face. Issei, sure, what do you want? If it's within my reach, I would gladly do it for you, she said while his heart was beating. Maybe. I want a kiss. At that moment the girl approached the chestnut tree, placing her mouth close to the young man's right ear. Yuma, could you, for me, she said with a dark voice that did not go unnoticed by any of the Hyoudou brothers. What's more, they were both shocked to death by what the brunette said. Issei, this, Yuma-chan, what did you say? said the brunette when he saw the black-haired girl walk away from him and stand in front of the pool. Then the black-haired woman began to laugh like a psychopath and both brunettes watched in horror as two black wings came out of Yuma's back and then her suit changed to a black one similar to that of a masochistic Sato. "Yuma, take this idiot," he shouted with all his might while with his open palm Issei was trapped in what seemed to be some kind of ancient blue circle with illegible pentagrams. "You know, I had planned to kill you. But, seeing that brat has been following us, I can deduce that she is important to you. Oh, am I wrong?" said the fall, and then with a slight movement of the trees, Arya emerged in a circle equal to that of Issei. "Issei, no, Oni-chan," the brunette shouted, trying to move without success. "Let her go. She hasn't done anything to you. If you want, kill me but don't hurt him," the brunette screamed desperately when he saw her sister dangerously close to that thing with black wings. "Yuma, okay, I see that this disgusting human is your twin sister, she's just as horrible as you," the girl shouted as she hit Arya's abdomen hard, making her cough in response for lack of energy and squirm of pain, all this being in front of Issei. "Issei, stop, Aryan," the brunette screamed desperately as he saw her poor Oni-chan suffer in front of her eyes, any attempt to save her being useless. He was motionless without being able to do anything at all. The black-haired girl smiled when she saw Issei's pained face. Yes, she had really made a good choice to make him suffer before finishing it. "Yuma, now take this," then creating a very weak and small spear of light he stuck it into the brunette's right arm. This spear was weak enough not to kill her, but to hurt her. "Arya, ah," the young woman screamed and cried in pain while she saw with her eyes full of horror how her right arm was pierced. "Issei, Arya, stop please, have mercy on her, I beg you," young Hyoudou cried desperately while he cried. His heart hurt, it was an indescribable pain to see his sister like that. "Yuma, ha 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 ha," the woman laughed madly when she saw and heard the screams of pain and the pleas of her prey. It was exquisite to her ears. "It's not over yet," then she began to repeat the process, another spear in her arm left. "Arya, no," the girl screamed as she writhed, crying with all her might as a result of this immense, indescribable pain. "Issei, stop," the brunette screamed desperately, no longer crying with sadness, now crying with rage with a face of indescribable anger. "Yuma, bam," then with all his strength he nailed a spear a little larger than the other two squarely into the brunette's right leg. "Arya, mercy. Oni cha," and she screamed in despair while she cried and writhed. The poor girl's heart couldn't take much longer. "Yuma, and now, the final blow." Before the fall could finish killing the girl, a powerful punch collided with her face, sending her flying, undoing the magic circle that held Arya, and she fell into Issei's arms. But she was different. He had a purple glow in his eyes and they were covered by strands of his hair. "Issei, I said that. You, stop," he shouted with all his might as he left his twin in the pool to heal. "Yuma, how dare you interrupt me? Me, to the great fallen angel Raynor. I will eliminate you, you damned low-class bastard," the black-haired woman shouted with all her might when she saw Issei in front of her, a little scared by the way he was. "Issei, you, he repeated when he saw the lamentable state in which his beloved family was. Arya was. "I will destroy you even if it's the last thing he does," he shouted, looking at Raynor with all his fury. "Raynor, don't make me laugh. Trash, I will kill you and then destroy your disgusting sister," said the black-haired girl as she created two spears of light and threw them at Issei. The brunette, letting himself be carried away by his impulses, ran very quickly, taking a big jump, avoiding the two spears that were going in his direction, causing them to hit the ground. Then when he landed, Issei disappeared, surprising the furious black-haired girl. "Raynor, where the hell are you, damn unhappy?" she screamed full of anger looking for her prey. The answer came when a powerful kick collided with her back. Issei had pushed himself silently, landing on the back of the fall causing her to face the ground and the brunette on top of her. "Raynor, let me get out of here, you damn bastard," she screamed as she writhed, but she gave up when she saw how her wings were held by the boy's hands. Then the black-haired girl's face was filled with terror when she thought about what would happen to her. What are you doing, damn it?" she said horrified, begging that her fears were not real. "Issei, I'm going to return all the pain you caused us. I'm going to destroy, all those who are like you. I will destroy everything, starting with you, then if you have any mercy." The brunette used all his strength on Raynor's right wing. And crack, it was torn from his back, a large stream of blood came out. "Raynor, arg. Damn bastard," she screamed as tears invaded her and she writhed, trying to get away but it was ineffective. "Issei, that was because of my broken heart, and this is because of my sister," then putting his foot on the black-haired girl's face to support himself and then he shot. And he shot, and crack, both of Raynor's wings were torn off. "Raynor, no, this is worse than being punished by demons, oh angels. Azazel-sama, Kokubil-sama, help me," the woman screamed in desperation. But then, "Issei, suffer, see you never. Damn you," then without any mercy the brunette turned Raynor's body over so he was face to face. And then, putting his hand through the right socket from his eye, I tear out a piece of his brain. And then I leave it next to the fall. Oh god. Oni-chan. Issei quickly went to where his twin was, reaching where his beloved sister was and taking her bridal style, he brought his face closer to hers. "Issei, Arya, answer to me, please. Aryan, the brown-haired man shouted desperately when he saw his sister badly injured in front of him. Arya, Oni-chan, coughing blood and with half-closed eyes the brunette looked at her twin. She was happy to be next to him. She had decided, it was time, Oni-chan. I guess, we won't be able to play Assassin's Creed together again, right? He said smiling while crying. Issei, don't say that. I want to play with you, forever. We will go to school together, like every day, we will wait in the stores for the latest sales and we will pre-order our future games together, Issei shouted while she cried when she saw the horrible state her sister was in. Arya, Issei Oni-chan, asterisk. I've always loved you Oni-chan, the brunette said with her eyes half closed while her tears they became thicker, never been so happy next to someone. I always suffered, because you were my brother. I love you, like a woman loves a man, she said smiling while looking at him. Issei, Arya, you. I love you too, the brunette said while he put his forehead together with the brunette's and cried you don't know how much, please, do not leave me alone. Arya, by, Oni-chan. At that moment, the little heat that Arya Hyoudou emanated stopped being felt and gave way to a horrible deathly cold. Issei, Arya, no, do not die. Arya, The brunette screamed with all his might while gigantic energy black as night was released from his body and surprisingly from Arya's wounds, then on Issei's right arm and Arya's left two red gauntlets with gold details and a green gem but upon coming into contact with Issei's blackish aura they were dyed black and the gem turned grey. Then, the bodies of both brown people disappeared from the park in a gigantic dark sphere with a purple aura, leaving the park destroyed only the deceased body of Raynor. End of Chapter 1. Previous ch2 of 12 next. Chapter 3, Chapter 2, The Disappeared in Kuo. Symbology. This is bad, thoughts. Throughout life, the greatest lesson you can learn is that the world is cruel to everyone, to some more than others. Drake. Valley, this is nothing I've ever seen. Albion, I don't think that's a good idea, Graphiat holograms and phone calls. Psy, explosions ECT. Chapter 2, The Disappeared in Kuo and the Prophecy. 10 days passed since the events that took place in the park of the city of Kuo. Of course, what happened in that place went unnoticed by human eyes, but this was not the case for the two demons who were in charge of protecting the city, Rias Grimori and Sona Citri, both students of the high school of the same name as their city. Kuo High School, a cult club room. Sitting at her desk, with her eyes closed and a serene face was a beautiful woman with blood-red hair, with blue-green eyes while she drank tea from a beautiful porcelain cup with gold details. That beautiful woman was known as Rias Grimori, one of the two demons in charge of the city, as well as the sister of the current Lucifer, Sears X Grimori. And of course, heir to the throne of her clan, the beautiful young woman's face was serene with no emotion other than relaxation, but it wasn't like that inside her because there were many things that worried Rias at that moment. Rias, this gives me a bad feeling, the redhead thought as she left her cup on a small plate on her desk and stared at the two files of the two people she saw in front of her, Issei Hyoudou and Arya Hyoudou. Did they have something to do with that woman? The redhead asked out loud while looking at the two photos on the covers of the files. It was no wonder, both brunettes had recently disappeared without a trace and the strangest thing was that they had disappeared later, that Sona and her entourage found that fallen angel in the Kuo Park. Flashback. A few days ago, Rias Grimori and her entourage along with Sona Citri and her respective servants were guided by a strange energy to the central park of the city, where for better or worse, both groups encountered a scene that was not pretty and very worrying. The floor of the park was in pieces and had several craters of different sizes and depths, indicating that a battle had occurred there. There were also traces of blood in the pool, wide enough to know that a body had been placed in it, and to finish the scene, the corpse of a woman with black hair with violet eyes, dressed like the women who like weddings with two raven wings black as the night on the ground belonging to her and with a piece of her brain protruding from her socket right from where of course, his eyes had been removed. Yep, a disgusting filthy scene that almost made some of the members of the Grimori and Citri entourage throw up their lunches. Rias, Akino, what do you think? Asked the redhead at her right hand. The black-haired woman, being a professional sadist with all the weight of the word, was an expert in disgusting topics like these, so from time to time could provide some other information about what had caused such an atrocity. Akino. Era said the black-haired woman while she smiled sweetly and took Raynor's body in her arms and looked attentively at her horrified face. If you allow me to give you my most sincere opinion, Bushu. Then the face of Akino took on a serious expression while the black-haired woman changed her understandable and common tone of voice to one that was heavier and more serious like her face at that moment whatever it was. Oh, whoever did this to this fallen angel. I can assure you that it was a monster. I was very angry with her, and from the face she has and the state of her wings, I would say that whatever attacked her was known of her and that her wings were torn off before she died. Sona, interesting deduction. Himahima-san, the black-haired leader of the Citri entourage and the student council of the academy that everyone attended, gave her most sincere opinion while she saw the pool of blood that was on the edge of the pool. But what I would like to know how many there were here. because due to the amount of blood that is here on the edge of this pool, I would be more than sure that the owner of this blood could not move, so whoever fought and whatever did this to that fallen angel, it must have been someone else, the black-haired Citri said seriously while, with one hand on her chin, she looked at the stage in which they were at that moment. Rias, whatever it is, oh whoever was involved in what happened here, said the redhead as she looked at the entire scene in front of them disappeared, and it's very likely that it's an enemy, oh a deserter from some faction, we must all be attentive, we don't know what intentions he may have, said Rias authoritatively, to which everyone in her group nodded. End flashback. After having that little memory, Rias Grimoire looked carefully at the photos on the two folders that were on her desk. One showed a young brown man with honey-colored eyes smiling with what seemed to be a comic book in hand, and on the other to a brunette with honey-colored eyes identical to the previous young man, only she had a PS3 game in her hand. Both identified as the twins, Hyoudou Issei and Hyoudou Arya, disappeared 10 days ago when the occult club group in the school's student council found the corpse of the fallen angel who had subsequently been identified as Raynor. It was undoubtedly something very suspicious and strange. Rias, Akino called the redhead on her right hand. The black-haired girl looked at her leader. Look for all the information you can about Hyoudou Issei and Hyoudou Arya. Anything, living room, behavior, customs, acquaintances, whatever she said the Grimoire while putting on a serious face. I have a very, very, very bad feeling Akino. Akino, Haibushu said the black-haired girl with a smile and then left the club. It would be difficult but she would find more about those young people. She also had a very bad feeling and besides, Himahima knew that when her leader had a feeling anyone was almost never wrong. As if it wasn't enough that she was worrying about Kuo City, Rias also had her own worries, especially because she needed someone to help her with her terrible and horrible engagement. After all, she would never dare to marry him. That damned bastard who all he wanted from her were her titles and wealth. Rias really had no idea what her parents were thinking when they had to force her to marry him. Rias, sigh, I just hope that things don't get worse. I wonder, what does the future hold for us, the three biblical factions, asked the woman as she looked at the moon, observing how it shone brightly, all its splendor. Oh, sad poor and unfortunate Rias Grimoire, she had no idea of the horrible fate that awaited them all equally, not knowing that the decisions that were made by Raynor and her superiors would condemn them all without being able to distinguish between good and evil. And no one could stop his executioners. Oh, perhaps there was a chance, however small it might be. Meanwhile, in another unknown place. In a dark world, black as the night, where sunlight never arrives and would never arrive, two bodies rested peacefully. One was a young brown man, and the other was one of the same age identical to him. These were the Hyoudou brothers. But something had changed in them. Issei. Why? Why? The brunette shouted furiously. In his arms rested his unconscious twin. Her hair covered her eyes while tears fell from them, falling on Issei's cheeks. Arya, why is this world so cruel? Why? Why? The young man screamed desperately as he hugged Arya, begging someone for her to wake up. Arya, Oni-chan, the woman whispered weakly as she looked at her brother. He gave thanks to whatever had brought his sister into his arms once again. This world is very cruel, said the brunette as she looked at her twin and touched his right cheek. Issei. You're right. At that moment Issei let her go when he saw that she was standing up. This world is only for human beings. Arya, we are the only ones who should exist. Issei, the fact that another race other than us exists is a cancer, a mistake, an aberration that threatens our entire extinction. Arya, a martyrdom, a sin, something forbidden. After each sentence, an aura black as the night began to emanate from the bodies of both young people, and a red gauntlet with golden details appeared on the arms of both, with a green gem. Which surprised them without exception, and even more so when I spoke to them. Fence, in my entire existence this is the first time that my consciousness is divided into two parts and that I have two carriers at the same time. A voice came out together from the red gauntlets of both chestnuts. Issei, Arya, Nanny, who are your monster, the two brunettes said scared while looking at the gauntlets on each other's arms. Let me introduce myself, my name is Didrag. I am the Red Emperor Dragon, Sekiryuuteis. And you two are my bearers, Hyoudou Issei, Hyoudou Arya, Fence. I'm surprised, it's for the first time in my entire existence I have two carriers at the same time. And that both are corrupted to the core with the darkness of perdition, said the one now known as Didrag. Issei, Didrag, comrades, dragon, then, that thing that attacked us. Was it real? The brunette said shocked. In effect, a fallen angel, to be more exact, all the supernatural beings in the world are real little ones, from witches to vampires, from mummies to Norse gods, from dragons to angels and demons and fallen angels too. Arya, so, human beings aren't the only ones. No, neither now nor ever were they. What you see in each other's opposite arms is the sacred gear known as boosted gear. Sacred gears are artifacts given to humans by God before dying so that they could protect themselves from the dangers of the humanity. Issei, Arya, God is dead, they said without much surprise or emotion. In the last great war between the three factions of the Bible, many demons, fallen and angels perished as well as God and the original Maus. But that is not the important thing. Now that the three of us are companions together. What will they do? Ibo-chan, Ibo, asked the Welsh dragon, interested in what its next bearers would do. Several minutes passed for the dragon to get its answer, minutes in which both twins remained silent and meditated on everything they had been through so far, from their birth to this point. And both came to a single conclusion. Issei, Arya, as long as those monsters exist, races that do not belong to Earth, human beings, no. The entire universe will be in danger of extinction, that is why. D-Drake, we as the Hyoudou twins we have decided to extinguish the biblical factions so that no other human being has to die, like we did. After that response the Welsh dragon was surprised, he had never heard of any bearer of his, of Albion who had the desire to destroy the biblical factions. But he could do nothing, after all he was only power for them, at least that's what he believed. I understand, companions, I respect your decision and I promise to be by your side forever until the day you die. Together we will fulfill your wish and give humanity the peace it so needs, said the celestial dragon while he smiled to himself. Perhaps they were talking about killing innocent people is guilty, good and bad alike, but even so their intentions were noble and he knew it like no one else. Arya, we appreciate it, D-Drake. Issei, Arya, together. Much power in the palms of our hands. At that moment the Hyoudou brothers put their boosted gears together while a black aura like the night was released from the bodies of both, and upon entering contact with the boosted gears turned black like the night and the green gem turned gray. Nothing will stop. Nothinga. And with that last scream, the black aura covered the entire place, plunging it into a darkness worse than the one it was in before. The only light that could be seen was how a gigantic purple bird appeared in that place, emitting a great shout. So, it is true what Ouroboros dragon said many millennia ago, the fire dragon said to himself, inaudible to the ears of the brown twins, the prophecy of the end of the world of the supernatural belonging to the Bible will be fulfilled. Those who would possess the cursed eye, capable of destroying everything in its path. The eye of devastation. The eye of the end. The final abomination, said the celestial entity while fire was concentrated in his palm and it turned into a dark purple circle, and in the center a purple flying bird. End of Chapter 2. First previous ch 3 of 12 next. Chapter 4. Chapter 3, there is no data we are together. Symbology. This is bad, thoughts. Throughout life, the greatest lesson you can learn is that the world is cruel to everyone, to some more than others. D-Drake. Valley, this is nothing I've ever seen. Albion, I don't think that's a good idea, Graphiat holograms and phone calls. Psi, explosions, nonsense, ECT** effects. Chapter 3, there is no data, we are together. Rias was getting more and more nervous, the reason. The simple fact of two things. Number 1, they had not yet found a trace or any information about Hyoudou Arya and Hyoudou Issei, not to mention that they had not yet discovered what had happened in the city park with that fallen angel, for which knowing that for the first time there was no information about two people, and there was something loose there doing Lucifer knows what, was worrying. And number 2 and of course, the most important, I still couldn't find someone to help her defeat her annoying fiancé, Riser Phoenix, which worried her a million times more than before. Rias, damn, I must find someone soon, if not, I'll just have to use Gasper, even though it hurts, said the redhead with a hurt look. She really didn't want to use Gasper, she had a lot of love and appreciation for her only bishop but I don't know what else to do, sigh. Gurmori began to massage her temples, while she rested her elbows on the desk and her head in her hands, thoughtful, she didn't know what to do, what solution. Which? It was what she repeated internally over and over and over again. Knock. There was a knock on the door. Who is it at this time? That was the fleeting thought that crossed the mind of the heiress with crimson hair. She was not expecting anyone at this time of the afternoon, but in her current situation she did not care. Some company was bad. Rias, come in, the young woman said loudly, and then the two large mahogany wooden doors that gave the entrance to the occult club room were opened, revealing 3 people, a blonde with a passive appearance, a small young girl with silver hair with cat brooch, and a black-haired girl with an orange ribbon in her hair making it a ponytail. Akano, Kiba, Kaneko, is it time for our meeting? The redhead asked with a smile, seeing her knight, Rook and of course her queen in front of her. She had not seen them since what happened with the fallen angel of black hair a few days ago, since there had been many lawsuits after that, so they only stopped by chance to give the report of their summoner and the corresponding payment, but other than that the members of the occult club had not seen each other much. Akano, that's right, Rias, the black-haired woman said, smiling elegantly as always, while she, the blonde, and the silver-haired girl walked to the armchairs in the room and sat down. We have come to discuss the events that have happened recently. Days that, as I have warned and probably right, keep us all worried, don't they? Said the woman with black hair seriously. The silver-haired girl nodded and then so did her blonde companion. But who were these people? Well, a summary presentation would be this. The little silver-haired girl was Kaneko Tuho, a first-year student at Kuo Academy, alias the mascot of the Seimin Tower of Rias Grimori, also known as the Onisama of the school. The blonde was none other than Kiba Yuto, knight of Rias Grimori, second-year student and considered by 99.9% of the female population of the academy, the Prince of Kuo, and for obvious reasons, the envy of the men and the desire of all women from first to third year, of course, with exceptions that, as expected, these women were not as superficial as the rest of the female population of the place. The black-haired woman was none other than Akano Himahima, the vice president of the occult club, third-year student and of course, the second Oni-sama of Kuo, also the queen of Rias Grimori and like her, the desire of all the men of the academy and the admiration of all the women of this same. The redhead stood up and looked seriously at her servants. They also cast their gaze on their mistress. Grimori sighed tired and defeated. She picked up the folders of Hyoudou Issei and Hyoudou Arya and then, taking out a small control from her desk drawer in a projector that was hooked to the ceiling of the classroom, the files of both missing Kuo students appeared. Rias, well, let's recap. Days ago we found the body of a fallen angel in the Kuo park. We have not been able to identify her since we do not have information about Grigory's ranks, but it would still have been useless because her face was disfigured, said the redhead as she pressed a button on the control, and on the screen she saw the destroyed body of a fallen angel with black hair. The same Raynor. Then two students identified as Issei Hyoudou and Arya Hyoudou disappeared just the day this woman was murdered, said the redhead with a serious face as she pressed another button, this time with the photos of the two brunettes together at the entrance to the academy smiling. Both had some comics in their hands, and then, when we tried to get information from both of them, this was what our friend and student council collaborator, Sekiryuuteis, did not deliver. Then Rias pressed a button and two sheets of paper containing the following information were seen on the projector. Right blade. Name: Issei Hyoudou. Race: human. Eye color: amber. Brown hair color. Age: 16 years. Course: sophomore at Kuo High School, admitted this year when the school went co-ed. Hobbies: unknown. It is believed that like his sister he is fond of comics, superheroes, video games among other similar topics. Relatives: Hanako Hyoudou, mother deceased. Aori Hyoudou, father deceased. Arya Hyoudou, twin sister living. Residence: 1698 Hiroshima Street. Notes from Sekiryuuteis: this young man, like his sister, emanates a strange, strong and intoxicating aura. I wouldn't know exactly what he and his twin are hiding, but I'm sure it's a sacred gear. There's no doubt or doubt. There is another explanation, we just need to know what this is. The strangest thing is that his sister has the same aura, which leads me to think that in effect, both of them in some crazy, unreal way share sacred gear, although I can't explain it, how something of that type is possible, but as I mentioned before, there is no other explanation. Sacred gear in possession: unknown, keep an eye on it from afar. Potential threat: unknown, it is not known exactly his power or what abilities he has. He seems to have a slight knowledge of melee attacks and has quite long-lasting physical resistance, much more than that of his companions. He excels in English and history classes, extensive knowledge about the medieval era and the modern American era of the 17th, 18th and 19th centuries. He also has great knowledge in engineering. Ratings: average. Worst subjects: mathematics and language. Their writing according to many teachers is mediocre, readable like any other but has major errors in the kanji. Favorite class: sports education. He is highly congratulated by the teacher and from time to time he is set as an example for his classmates. Left leaf. Name: Arya Hyoudou. Human race: eye color: amber. Hair color: brown. Age: 16 years. Course: second year student at Kuo High School, admitted this year along with her twin when the school became co-ed. Hobbies: unknown. It is believed that like his brother he is fond of comics, superheroes, video games among other similar topics. Relatives: Hanako Hyoudou, mother deceased. Aori Hyoudou, father deceased. Issei Hyoudou, twin brother living. Residence: 1698 Hiroshima Street. Sacred gear in possession: unknown, keep an eye on it from afar. Potential threat: unknown, it is not known exactly his power or what abilities he has. He seems to have a slight knowledge of swordsmanship and the subject of samurai. Stands out in mathematics and physics classes, extensive knowledge of geography. Ratings: high. Worst subjects: sports. Favorite classes: biology and science. She has not failed in any of these, and according to her teachers, the knowledge of formulas that she has is quite impressive, since none of the formulas that she uses are familiar to them or even possible, but nevertheless she always knows she gets away with creating impressive chemicals, which has earned her a nickname at school, manipulator chemistry. Everyone finished reading the sheets of the students they were investigating, wondering what was so strange about it. After all, there was all the information they needed. Oh no. Rias, I know what you're thinking, that there should be all the information we need, but it's not like that. Generally the school, especially ours, which is monitored by us, has a small record of the students' daily lives, and a little about their past, but when we tried to investigate the past or the civil activities that Issei and Arya have outside of school, we didn't find anything, said the redhead while looking seriously at her servants. Everyone was surprised by what Rias had just said, and they had not realized until now, and indeed, what she said was true, but what did this mean? Meanwhile somewhere else, an orange portal with a purple center opened in the middle of the city's forest, from which two very injured figures emerged, the first a young man with brown hair and the second a woman with long hair of the same color as the young man. They were Issei and Arya. Pof pof. There were the sounds of both of their bodies falling to the ground. Their clothes were very dirty and battered, and Arya's still had the marks where Raynor had pierced her with the spears of light previously. Issei, Oni-chan, meet, after, well, the brunette asked, quite tired while panting. He looked to the right to find his twin brunette with the boosted gear gauntlet activated. She was unconscious, I think not. The boy smiled stupidly while with some effort he stood up, then he brought his arm where his boosted gear was to his head and looked at the green gem. Nay, Deidre, why don't we, did you say that doing something like that would waste so much energy? Issei asked, a little annoyed as he looked disapprovingly at the gem on his arm. It's not my fault, Aibo, you and I-chan are quite weak when it comes to magical reserves. I think that using something as powerful and difficult as a dimensional gap for you beginners for the first time consumed all your reserves, and from what I can see, it also consumed some of its vital energy, hurting you and your twin to a very small extent, but I see that is why she has fainted, said the Crimson Imperial Dragon through the gem. Well, I don't think it's time to talk about these things. Aibo, take you and I-chan home, you should rest. Issei, I take you at your word, partner, said the one with honey eyes as his boosted gear was dissipated in black flashes, then he laid his eyes on his twin who was asleep and carried her. My Ne-chan. Issei whispered as he approached, Today we will sleep together like when we were little and I had nightmares, said the young Hyoudou with a sweet look and a tender smile, while at his memories of his childhood came to mind, he and Arya sleeping in the same bed, she in pink pajamas with kittens and stars and he in blue ones with rockets and planets. The male Sekiryuuteis carried his female counterpart and went hidden through the night towards his home without being detected, when he was in front of the door. Issei, okay, here, then the brunette began to search with his free hand in his pants pockets for the key to the house. Isn't it in my right pocket? Well, maybe on the left. Again he put his hand in his left pocket and surprise. It wasn't okay, in my back pocket, he said with a desperate tone of voice, due to the fact that he really needed to get into the house, he had no desire to sleep outside and even less in the weak state in which he was. He and Arya were there, isn't he there? The second-year student said with his eyes wide open, he put in a desperate attempt into his left back pocket in the hope of finding the blessed key there. No, damn no. Now what am I going to do? The boy asked desperately, then he looked down at his sister's short skirt and felt his heart stopping. Yes. With his face dyed a bright crimson like that of his sacred gear, he approached his left hand to the hip of his sleeping twin. Issei swallowed dryly, he had no idea where to put his hand, he had never before approached her. His hand on a skirt. And knowing that it was his Nei-chan. The one who had such a body, paf. Issei slapped himself for thinking those things about Arya, although it was true that he loved her with all his soul and incesto society's opinion was worth mothers, deep down in his heart he didn't have the courage to take the fragile body of her twin, but even so, swallowing dryly, she once again closed her eyes and her heart stopped while her hand was guided to the brunette teen's skirt. But, she didn't put it where it should be. The Sekiryuuteis felt on the skin of his hand that he was touching something very soft, and quite hot. With his eyes closed without knowing what the hell he was touching his twin, he ventured his hand begging because this was the skirt. Then he felt the curvature of whatever he was touching. In a last attempt, praying that it wasn't what he thought, he squeezed delicately and slowly. Arya, the girl, still asleep, blushed and moved between Issei's arm and chest, to which he felt his entire world break like a glass. Oni-chan, naughty, if you wanted to, suck Nei-chan's breasts. You should have asked me. I would gladly give you the brunette said in her sleep, while his face turned red and a trickle of saliva fell down his chin. The Kuo student felt like his spine was the victim of a powerful electric shock upon hearing something so perverted come out of his sister's mouth. It was official, he opened his eyes and realized that his hand had been moving all this time, had found in Arya's butt. Issei felt like the worst trash in the entire universe, he had unintentionally taken advantage of his sister, it hadn't been intentional but he had done it. He decided to let it go and this once embarrassed and with his eyes open, he took his hand out of the brunette's underwear and then this time he started a search in the young woman's blue skirt, looking for a pocket until finally, he found the keys to the house. Issei. Finally, he felt how Arya frowned and moved in his body. I say, finally now with a much lower and more discreet tone of voice, Hyoudou put the key in the handle and opened the door. He entered his home and locked it, then left the key on the dining room table and went up the stairs with Arya in his arms. The brunette opened the door to his room that he shared with Arya, placed the brunette on her bed and stood up watching her, not knowing what to do. Issei, I think there's no other way, glup asterisk. I'll see Nei-chan naked. The young man went to look for a clamp and put it on his nose to prevent bleeding, then he undressed and, putting aside all his thoughts and his morals, he also undressed his twin. Of course, for Issei it was quite tortuous and on more than one occasion he thought about stopping but, he needed this. The student looked at the model body that his twin had. Quite, large breasts, beautiful hips, thin and long legs. And sexy, pink and tempting pink lips at the bottom, which would be a major sin to stain them with makeup. And smooth white skin. The Sekiryuuteis had to bring a bucket to pour out all the blood that had not been able to be contained with the clamp that had been placed in her nose, then, carrying Arya's naked body, he took her into the bathroom and deposited her in the tub. Issei, Oni-chan, I hope you can forgive me, the young man said regretfully as he became depressed. I couldn't protect you. And now I dared to undress you while you were asleep, whatever you say is defiling you. But, if you were in my place you would also think the same as me. We need a bathroom. And with that single thought Issei turned on the cold water tap and then the hot one. When the water in the bathtub was at lukewarm temperature he got in with the girl, accompanying her, and searched among the toiletries and began to rub the soap over her body, beautiful and statuesque of its beautiful similarity. Do you have fun touching your sister's body, Ibo? Diedrich said with a funny and joking tone when he saw how Issei used the sponge to carve the large breasts of the brown-haired girl who was still asleep, and was not pretending, of course. The truth is Arya was very tired, which is why she hadn't even woken up with the water on her skin. Issei, CC shut up Diedrich, the young man said blushing while making every effort not to do something that he would later regret with the delicious and appetizing body of his future battle partner. It's not that he doesn't enjoy it. And it's not that I don't want to one day give myself to Nei-chan, it's just I want to do it when she wakes up. And when it's a very special moment, he said with a face the young man was happy and calm while he imagined the perfect date with his sister. Ha ha ha, Issei, you turned out to be quite a ridiculous poet. I see that apparently you will be my first bearer who will have only one suitor, and also probably the first to be with, for the sake of redundancy, a Sekiryuuteis, and perhaps you will not be the last, said the Welsh dragon smiling seeing the cheesy fantasy that was being projected in Issei's mind. Issei, The first to have a single suitor, asked the brunette, who took advantage of his concentration in his conversation with Ddraig to carve Arya's private parts so that he wouldn't have to worry so much about it later. What do you mean? He said with a strange and curious face while moving the hand that contained the sponge. I mean that being a dragon, you are destined to have countless partners. However, apparently your case is special, because apparently, from your sister's body, more specifically from where you were touching, Issei felt like he was dying, only to hasten the carving in the unspeakable area of his twin, and also from where the smells and essences of both yours and hers emanate. Something happens that although I have heard about it and know what he does, it is the first time I see that one of my bearers is a victim of it, the crimson dragon with emerald eyes said with a deductive tone of voice. Issei, what do you mean? The boy asked as he removed the sponge from between Arya's legs and then got out of the tub and stood behind her, and now began to scrub her back, neck, ears and butt. Not necessarily in that order. In terms you can understand, the essence of a dragon is what attracts multiple mates, and the essence of female dragons that dragon attracts has a side effect, which is that apparently the stronger the essence of the male dragon, he will have a greater sexual appetite and therefore, he will attract more mates, but there is the case where the essence of both the dragon and the female dragon are very strong, being literally equal, when, as you are already deducing, the essence of the male dragon is the strongest and that of the vast majority of females is the weakest. That is what makes a dragon have multiple partners. It looks for a feminine essence that matches its own. When both are balanced, the dragons search for partners. It will be finished and you will have enough that you need to survive and to, well, satisfy your hunger. Ha 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 ha, said the dragon laughing. Issei, already? And what does that have to do with Nei-chan and me? Issei said without understanding, happy to finally have finished soaping his twin's body. Then he took her with his right arm and laid her down on it. And with his left hand he began to pass the shower with warm water all over the girl's body, causing the soap to fall down the drain. I still don't understand what you mean. God, Ibo, is this serious? Okay, I'll tell you in terms that you can understand. Your essence is very strong and powerful, therefore you would have many partners. And I say, you would have, because apparently, your twin, whom you were desperate to rape, surely, it has a dragon essence just as strong and powerful as yours. Therefore, your season of searching for a partner ended before it began, because the partner that will accompany you throughout your life is the one you are bathing right now. The Welsh dragon said assertively. Issei was dumbfounded. He, his, Nei-chan, together, forever, it was. It was like a dream come true. The young man contained his emotions and shouts of joy, looked down and gazed at Arya's calm face. She had the face of an angel breathing calmly and peacefully, to which Issei smiled and cried, happy to have to such a beautiful woman for the rest of her life. She took the brunette's lips while caressing her forehead and then continued with the bath. 2 hours later, Issei came out of the bathroom naked just like Arya, only this time, he carried 2 towels on his shoulders, one indigo blue and the other black. He opened the door to the room and deposited Arya in her bed, then he dried himself and put on a pair of pajamas. Red color with blue and white details and proceeded to dry her twin now. Then without being able to stop, she realized that now there were only 3 parts of her dear twin's body left to dry. Her breasts, his butt, and his crotch. Issei, glup asterisk, Ddraig. Can I touch those areas and control myself? Said the brunette while, unable to avoid it, he placed his eyes on Arya's crotch. Well, you are a born dragon, your sister is a born dragon, you are her male, and she is your female for all eternity. And dragons have a very possessive, lustful and very overprotective instinct with our females and our babies, so, taking into account all those factors, I recommend that you do it quickly if you don't want to end up taking his body accidentally, said in a tone as if nothing had happened to the dragon. That Issei felt stupid. How was it that he said it like it was nothing? They were talking about Arya to Mio. Well, a man has to do what a man has to do. And with a monumental effort, Issei dried with his hands trembling and eager to really play the final parts of Arya, leaving her completely dry. Then without much problem and inwardly, with much pain and sadness, he dressed Arya in her grey top and her pajama shorts. White. Then when they were both dressed, the brunette deposited his twin in his bed. Miguel's note. He deposited her in the bed where he sleeps, Issei's. In his room Issei sleeps in the right bed and Arya in the left, and he lay down on her right side. Then he surrounded her with his arms and placed her head on his chest near his heart so that the sound of it would lull her to sleep. Issei, good night. Nei-chan, thank you for always being with me. And with a sweet look full of love, Issei kissed Arya's head and fell asleep next to her, without realizing it, that in her dreams, her words reached her twin's subconscious and heart, making her smile. Ddraig, who looked at everything through the boosted gear gems in both of their arms, couldn't help but smile. Perhaps their current wearers had apocalyptic plans, but deep down they were good people, who were going to do what they were going to do, as long as they or anyone else suffered. Well, maybe this isn't so bad after all. Hyoudou Issei, Hyoudou Arya, their existences are more than interesting, and with those words the dragon joined its bearers in dream. End. I'm sorry for the delay in updating, the truth was because I felt depressed seeing that this story is so neglected, but hey, at least I know that it is read and with that I am satisfied, and mainly because I was running out of ideas. And to those of you who are already asking for lemon, with all due respect, screw your mother and hold on. Good things come to those who wait, and just as Issei says, I want to make both of our first visits something very special. No. I have the makings of a writer for long-lasting romantic dates, as you could see in chapter 1, so I ask you to understand. Anyway, the next chapter will be about training and will deal exclusively with Issei and Arya, where neither laughter nor company will have more intervention. And also to clarify doubts, here Issei and Arya are the main protagonists, but from another point of view they would be in quotes antagonistic protagonists, plus with the thought they have of eliminating any angel, demon or fallen angel that leaves me in a quite complex situation about what will happen with special characters of the series, such as Asia, Irina, Zenobia and also what will happen with other mythologies such as the Nordic one, which will necessarily have to enter due to Rosweiss, among others, so I will need time to recalibrate my ideas, and now that I think about it maybe I'll do a Valentine's Day special for this FIC, where I might do Issei and Arya's first date and maybe include Lemon. I don't know, give me time. See you soon. And for those who are wondering, no, I write my fics in Notepad and correct spelling mistakes in Microsoft Word 2007, now yes, see you soon, take care of yourselves, we'll see you in a while. First previous ch4 of 12 next. Chapter 5, Chapter 4, We are heroes, not villains. Symbology. This is bad, thoughts. Throughout life, the greatest lesson you can learn is that the world is cruel to everyone, to some more than others. Drake. Valley, this is nothing I've ever seen. Albion, I don't think that's a good idea, Graphiat holograms and phone calls. Psi, explosions, nonsense, ECT asterisk effects. Chapter 4, We are heroes, not villains. Were the multiple whimpers that came out of the Hyoudou house, all coming from a female voice. Issei had already informed his twin of everything that happened the night before and it went without saying that she literally swallowed it. Kisses, well, now they were fulfilling what Drake told them, their training, because he had emphasized that in effect, they had control of magic and fighting capabilities. Disgusting. Arya, Oni-chan don't be so dude. It's my first time, the girl moaned loudly while the sweat ran down her head and her breasts bounced. Baka. Be gentler. Issei. Nei-chan, you're pushing too hard, you're choking me, the brunette shouted, blushing while he was also sweating. And it was no wonder. Both had, with great difficulty, created a special dimension, courtesy and learning from Drake, for their training. But Arya was choking Issei because of the hold he was putting on her. Issei, ahck were the guttural sounds from the boy's throat as he felt Arya's arms wrap around his neck, then the girl quickly put her foot on Issei's back and threw him away, making him fall into the ground. Floor ouch. Oni-chan that's not fair, the brunette shouted, pouting and blushing and wiping away his sweat, you almost killed me. Arya, you are the unfair Oni-chan, the girl shouted furiously while adjusting her strapless shirt, which unfortunately for her was very tight, her breasts bounced slightly due to the movement of the upper garment. You were twisting my damn legs. Baka, I told you it was my first time fighting. Then with an angry face, the girl put her hand in her black lycra shorts and took out a strawberry popsicle, opened it and put it in her mouth. I'm going to get serious Oni-chan. Then, still maintaining his furious face against his male counterpart, he extended his left arm and it glowed in a crimson light. Boosted gear. The cry of the crimson dragon inhabiting the twins' bodies sounded and the crimson gauntlet appeared on the girl's arm while an arrogant smile appeared on her face. Arya, get ready. Hyodou Issei Oni-chan, he shouted as the gem shown in the first increase was indicated. The brunette smiled when he saw the determination in the honeyed orbs of his beloved twin, then he extended his right arm and the same shine appeared as did the same weapon. Issei, you too. Hyodou Arya Nei-chan. The young man also shouted with a grimace of arrogance. Would you like to sing something? Asked the young man as he ran in the direction of the girl and she repeated the act. Arya, sure, the young woman with brown hair said animatedly while her left fist collided with her brother's right. Then, both brothers looked at each other and smiled and then began to throw punches and kicks at each other. Issei, Arya, it's a beautiful day outside, birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like these, kids like us should be burning in hell. Arya quickly launched a right kick to Issei's face, he blocked it with his boosted gear, the increase was made and Issei launched a blow towards his twin's face, she stopped it with the palm of her sacred gear, a third increase was carried out and with a mental order, both transferred their power to their muscles, making the power of both of their blows more powerful and their muscles slowly stood out along with a few veins. Issei, Arya, turn around sis bro, it'd be a crime, if I had to go back on the promise that I made to you, so don't step over that line, or else, friend, you're gonna have a bad time. They looked at each other while smiling and quickly gave each other a headbutt. After the headbutt when they both composed themselves, they then launched themselves against each other again. Arya put her fists together making a type of hammer, then quickly surprised Issei by hitting him in this way before he reached her sending him flying to the right. The young woman ran as fast as her legs would allow her and arrived before the young man's body, remaining on his back. Arya, who had the muscles of her body enhanced, gave a powerful kick to Issei in the spine, but Issei did not notice. She was left behind, she recomposed herself and increasing the muscles in her hands, she surprised her twin by giving her a strong blow to the stomach and then one to her face, sending her backwards. The girl with brown hair recomposed herself and wiped the blood that came out of her upper lip, smiled and stood up looking at Issei. Issei, Arya, but guys like us don't play by the rules, and girls like me, it ain't easy to be played for fools, so let's go, let the room get chiller. The faces of both were gloomy, their gazes were covered by their hair giving them a terrifying tone. And without either of them realizing it, a chilling smile typical of a psychopath from a 90s horror movie was growing slowly but surely on the faces of both of them. Let's go sister brother murder. Boost. Dark power up. Judge final mode. The boosted gear of both of them quickly changed to that dark mode after that sentence came out of the gem. The crimson metal turned to black as dark and powerful as the place they were training in, and the gem turned gray, only that without anyone realizing it. Issei's right eye and Arya's left eye abandoned their honeyed color, now they turned a dark purple color and in the center a kind of bird appeared in mid-flight. The adrenaline and the power of the attacks was felt everywhere, each time the blows of one against the other were stronger and stronger, while a small feeling of satisfaction at being attacked appeared in the hearts of the brothers. Now, without having any idea of what they were doing, they began to act on instinct, without fully controlling their movements. The hands where the dark boosted gears were located waved up and down slightly, thus creating two swords made of a greenish energy that was quickly corrupted by the dark mode of the boosted gear, causing the greenish energy to turn purple as both they began to clash their newly made swords, without being entirely aware of the attacks and movements they were making. Issei, Arya, go ahead and try to hit me if you're able. Guess you've figured now that mercy's off the table. I can tell you're getting really sick of trying, but I think you're just mad you failing. Zap zap zap. Zap zap zap. Clash. They were the sounds of the energy swords being waved by one against the other and vice versa, also when they clashed against each other. But nevertheless they still had the desire to continue their battle with some music, and in addition, they were really liking it. And since they were singing in English, no matter how much they tried to land a blow, they all failed. Their bodies moved at high speed while they were brutally overextended due to the energy of the boosted gear due to the increase in muscles and speed. So it was another extra weight for both of them, and it also served to increase their resistance to using that power. Clash. Again the energy swords collided while the hands of both exerted a lot of force. The veins were highlighted in the hand that did not have the gauntlet of both, neither gave a millimeter, both were very equal in terms of strength, not to mention that they were literally on the same level. But yes, it was true, they were on the same level, raising and increasing their skills as warriors while their hearts were pounding with excitement. They quickly pushed themselves back to make distance while brushing their hair from their eyes. They were a little surprised to see the black eye on the other's face, but they decided to let it pass and point at each other with the hand that they had bare since it was not covered by the blackish gauntlet. Issei, Arya, you're not gonna win. We'll be here together, fighting in this judgment hall forever. I know you just come back every time I beat ya, but I'll always be right back here to meet ya. Again they launched themselves against each other, while their swords clashed again, not like perfect swordsmen trained for thousands of years, but with a decent skill on the part of Issei, but a great skill on the part of Arya, which little by little, at a slow but very sure pace, he was gaining ground against Issei. Issei, Arya, we know we're made of low UVE, low UV, low UVE, low UVE, low UV, low UVE. Right kick to the brunette's face, but she only required using her right hand to block it, but she didn't count that her twin did a somersault even with his foot trapped by her. The girl loosened her grip, causing the young student to let go of her grip. In doing the somersault in the air, he grabbed the girl's head, propelling himself and so on, remaining so that now the brunette was about to hit Arya with a sword. But, sooner rather than later, Issei's attack failed. He opened his eyes dumbfounded as he fell to the ground when he saw his sister carrying two swords, one in each hand. The girl removed her locks from her face, putting them behind her ear, while she inhaled and exhaled air. Now with a mentality calmer, the girl got into a battle stance with her two purple swords pointing at her twin. Issei was in trouble, so, asking Ddraig internally, she now had two boosted gears, one in each hand, and her sword disappearing. Purple in blackish flashes, he got into a boxer's position. Bang zap zap. Clash clash clash. Issei's gloves and Arya's swords collided multiple times trying to break each other's defense, however all attempts were unsuccessful, neither gave in even a little. In addition, both were using their best knowledge in battle, Arya's. They were about the sword and samurai, which had always fascinated him, especially the techniques of a character from an old anime that he watched with Issei years ago. As for the chestnut, he was using his knowledge of boxing and slight, almost non-existent knowledge, about karate and martial arts. Both were opposing forces but at the same time so similar. Issei, Arya, this is where it stops, this is where it ends. If you want to get past me, well, you better try again, but no matter how I stall you, you don't give up your defense. Do you just like the feeling of your sins crawling on your back? They both smiled as their minds translated what the other was saying. It was clear, they both loved the delicious feeling of their sins on his back, and also of their future sins that they would commit. Clash bang. Arya's swords now being held inverted, collided with Issei's gauntlets, and Issei, taking advantage of his opportunity, forcefully threw Arya back causing her to collide with the ground, but she quickly stood up and looked at him with determination. Issei, Arya, go ahead and try to hit me if you're able. You should know by now that mercy's off the table. Think that you can try to spare me like I'm some pawn. Well, you didn't spare my sister, me, so get dunked on. Again they launched themselves against each other, both with a look of pure determination. The black eye of both shone intensely while their hearts were beating very quickly, and little by little they began to get tired and sweat. The fight was about to end, but they wanted to fight. Issei, Arya, we know we are going to make all disappear, but everything we cared about is why we are here. We are our mercy, we are our vengeance, we are determination. I know we're made of low UVE, low UVE, but we are stronger than everyone. Clash bang. A last clash on the part of the brothers, and then both ended up in a triumphant pose, both of them left on their backs like a mirror reflecting their opponent. Then, the black eye disappeared, as did the gauntlets and the energy swords. Issei, God, how tiring that was, said the brunette while wiping the sweat from his forehead. You are very good and skilled with the sword, Oni-chan, the boy said, praising her with a happy tone. Arya, Arigato Oni-chan, the young woman said with a happy and blushing face. You are also a very good fighter with formidable melee attacks. Plus, you look very handsome when you fight GGG. Smiling and mischievous, the brunette kisses her twin on his right cheek and hugged him from behind. Hey, lovebirds, I don't want to interrupt, but your energy is at rock bottom. If you keep this place any longer you are going to faint. Also, let me congratulate you, you have considerably increased your magical reserves, and your stamina. I would say you could last 10 to 10 minutes. 15 consecutive energy increases. Also, for the next time we train, I have 2 techniques in mind for you two that could be very useful in the future, the dragon said with a proud and happy tone when he saw the rapid and very useful advances of its bearers. He was proud of them. The 2 brunettes closed their eyes and put their boosted gears together. Then, quickly the greenish gems shone, and with a slight movement of their hands the darkness that surrounded them broke like glass into pieces, both of them appearing in their room. Pof pof. The bodies of both fell to the wooden floor of their rooms while they were sweating. They were tired and their bodies were overexploited by the massive combat and magical wear and tear they had had. They both went to take a bath together. They were no longer so embarrassed to shower together. Plus, they both loved having the other wash their back. Now both Hyoudous were dressed while they calmly ate some simple but tasty sandwiches. Hey, Ibo, I-chan, the great Welsh dragon called to the 2 chestnuts who looked at his arms with the greenish gem with a strange face. Issei, Arya, Nanny, Ddraig, they asked strangely, was there something happening? It's not that they disliked talking to Ddraig, it's just that they had no idea what the dragon could want right now. According to my advanced thinking and deductive ability, the demons in your school must have already deduced that you are missing, and probably must have deduced that you were involved in what happened in the city park at the time of your awakening, he said assertively, the Crimson Dragon, so going to the school to prevent them from continuing to investigate would be best. If they continue investigating about you two, they would end up in big trouble and their plans to destroy the factions would go to waste. Issei, what? But I don't want to go to school, the chestnut boy screamed like a child complaining on Monday, while he was pouting, I don't want to. I do not want. Arya, Oni-chan, think, we must go, besides, it's not for us, it's for the entire planet, we can't allow our plans to be discovered, said the brunette as she caressed Issei and attached him to the place where her heart was. Besides, we will be in the same room, said the girl smiling, let's go. What do you say to me? She asked animatedly. Issei, well, okay. But only if it's for you, Oni-chan, the young Hyoudou said smiling, and also while he hugged the girl. Oni-chan, I'm going out for a while, Issei said while she smiled at him, but then Arya's face changed drastically. Arya, and what would that be for? Oni-chan, the Sekiryuuteis girl questioned with her hands on her hips. Issei, Etta, well I'll tell you, we can't show ourselves just like that to our future enemies, said Issei with an assertive and fleeting look. We will need a secret identity, and above all, we must not reveal who the Sekiryuuteis is, and much less that we are both at the same time. Therefore, Oni-chan, we will need to hide from others, an alias, like every superhero, the brunette said smiling. Arya, it's not necessary, Oni-chan, here we have everything we need to work. Issei, okay, if you say so, Oni-chan. As time passed, Issei and Arya sent a letter to the school, saying that neither of them were feeling quite well, so they wouldn't be able to attend for a while, so during all the time they had to be absent, they were working, day and night on their costumes with which they would be known, until. Issei, perfect, said the brunette as he placed the mask on his face. We are ready, Oni-chan, Issei now said with a deep voice. Now Issei was dressed in a black tunic, a black leather hat, his face was covered by a metal bird beak-shaped mask, brown boots and gray leather gloves with straps, but the most notable thing was that on his right arm he had a metal glove with several cuffs that went towards his fingers that ended in needles. His mask had a built-in microphone that distorted his voice. Issei, with this suit, I look exactly like the doctor from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Furthermore, with my knowledge and engineering I was able to create a gauntlet exactly like the one used by the Scarecrow in my favorite game. Batman Arkham Knight, the brunette said smiling while he looked at his metal gauntlet and took off his bird Oni-chan mask. Your turn. Come down, Issei shouted as he sat at the table waiting for his sister. Going down the stairs, Arya arrived, who, to Issei's astonishment, was wearing a gray cloak, long to her feet with the hood covering her face. She was wearing a black tunic and 2 short swords tied to her waist, some brown leather boots, some bandages hanging from his red leather gloves and black combat pants. The most notable thing was the metal mask that hid his identity. It had the word, resurrected, written in red letters drawn in a grotesque and fine way as if they had been written with a pen. Arya, do you like Oni-chan? My suit and my mask are based on Dr. Doom from Marvel Comics. The girl said happily. Besides, my mask is made of a strong metal like yours. Issei, yes, I like Oni-chan, you look great. Well, as long as we are hiding her on the battlefield, we will not speak unless it is strictly necessary to do so. Our aliases will be Malfito, and as your mask says, you will be resurrected. Do you like it? The brunette asked as he put on his mask and stood in front of his partner. Resurrected. Yes, we are ready for anything, the woman responded. Arya also had a microphone in her mask, now having a more serious and helpless adult voice, making it sound like a goddess criticizing humans. Wow, I must say that they look pretty good. They look intimidating, said the dragon from both of their minds. Also, Ibo, I think I have something for you. Try to summon the boosted gear where your gauntlet is with syringes. Just as Ddraig said it, Malfito summoned the boosted gear on his right. His metal gauntlet underwent a small alteration. Now his gauntlet had been combined with the sacred gear, Having a more dragon-like appearance of crimson color, the gem had been located in the palm of the hand, looked like an Iron Man glove, the needles on the fingers had transformed into claws that could also inject anything, and golden spikes came out of the side. Malfado, great, thanks Didrag. The Sekiryuuteis responded, sincerely grateful, leaving aside our aliases. Oni-chan, if I remember correctly you have a great knowledge of chemistry, don't you? Issei asked as he removed his mask and his voice returned to normal. Normal. Arya, yes, Oni-chan, but what does that have to do with it? The girl asked, surprised, while also leaving her mask on the table. Issei, I have a plan. My glove also has a use. It is not a mere decoration, it can inject things into the organisms of living beings, so I would like you to make me the types of substances that I am going to use in my battles, said the brunette while he smiled and his mind created plans at an impressive speed. Arya, wow, I like your way of thinking, Oni-chan. With everything we're doing, and planning behind the scenes from the others, it seems like we're the bad guys, ha 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 ha, the brunette said, laughing as she looked and cleaned her right sword. The brunette smiled, as he turned his head from left to right and patted Arya's cheek, making her blush. Issei, Oni-chan, we are heroes, not villains. Yes, no doubt something big was going to come out of Malfado and Ryzen's sleeves in the future. After all, heroes are destined to win. End. Well, with this I wash my hands. Damn, time to respond to reviews. Thanks for commenting, it is greatly appreciated. Morox000, I'm glad you like my story, mate. Receiving a comment from a great writer like you who has a lot of participation in the DxD fandom encourages me a lot. About your ideas, of course I will take them. I already updated the FIC, making it just a normal DxD FIC. Although that does not mean that there will be elements from one game or another. Oh comic. In regards to the story, it is seen that like the majority you do not have great favoritism towards Asia, but well, I guess your ideas about his destiny are the most acceptable so far. At first I couldn't shake what Asia said to Issei once. I will follow you wherever you go, Issei-san, but, however, I realized that this was because of the attitude that Canon Issei had towards her, but this Issei is different in every way now because of Raynor's actions towards Arya. I had the vague idea of making Asia become part of the group of Issei and Arya, but now I realize that it will not be possible. I do not want to turn my story into something like a group. I want to make Issei and Arya antagonists from the point of view of the vast majority, while these are driven by the belief that what they do is the right thing. So Asia Argento's fate in this FIC is sealed from now on. Her end is imminent, although it pains me to admit it, because she's so kawaii, that cute and beautiful face that he makes, and that little voice so innocent and pretty. Carrot carrot, I love it. And that heart so pure. The truth is that Asia reminds me of Papyrus from Undertale from time to time because of her way of being, since they are a little similar. I really don't know how people hate her. I'm not saying that you do, and neither do I'm insulting you, she's so cute. But hey, I'm not anyone from the fandom to be able to contradict him, I'm just another one of the bunch, but in the meantime, I'll need time. I still have to polish in my head the details of Riser's arc, the Kokobile one, which I will do with Irina when I see what happened to his childhood friend, and above all, what the hell am I going to do with the other mythologies, because Issei and Arya only have plans to end the ones from the Bible, but I think I'll also have to put them here later early, but for now I must concentrate on another FIC I'm doing. I appreciate that you really commented, take care of yourself, mate. I also hope that soon you will upload continuations to Time After, An Unexpected Betrayal, and The Talent of a Pervert. Oh, you didn't know? That's right, I'm one of your readers. See you soon, laughing face. Chugoku no Doragon. I am glad that you are liking my story, my friend. It is encouraging to see that people comment and read what I write. I really appreciate your comment. Take care. I hope you enjoyed this chapter and that this story continues to please you. See you soon. Lacho 12. Okay, I didn't think that the fact that this fanfic did not have a harem would upset the DxD fandom, although it is understandable. In animes where the harem is non-existent, there are fanfics of that type to the extent that it is not possible, and in animes where the harem it abounds like DxD, the harem makes the entire fandom fed up. How strange, although from my point of view I am a hypocrite. Why? Due to the fact that I am writing a fanfic that does not have a harem, since I only read DxD fanfics that have a harem, and when I read in which Issei only has one partner, they are better than eating pizza with paprika. In other words, I'm being hypocritical by writing something in a genre that I don't even like, but to tell the truth, it relaxes me a lot to write this. I like it, I love it, and if the idea of reading this fanfic scares you because of the fact that Issei is committing the incestuous act with his lifelong twin sister, well, dear friend, welcome to read my story with all the freedom in the world. See you soon. And finally, I want to tell you something and clarify it to all the readers who read, comment, do not comment, and those who read but do not have an account. I will not make a Valentine's Day special for El Sekiryuuteis Mascara de Plata. I know it will disappoint many, but be careful. I said that I wouldn't make a Valentine's Day special from this fanfic, but I wouldn't make a Valentine's Day special from another fanfic. You see, this is not the first project that I publish on the internet. The short story is that I am also part of the Narusaku fandom of Naruto. I published a story in a forum about this couple. We haven't died even after the damn manga 700, which has nothing to do with the anime itself. It is something 100% original, not based on any anime. I invite you to read this fanfic and comment on it if you want. I have many advanced chapters and it is what I am mainly concentrating on, since El Sekiryuuteis Mascara de Plata is something like that when I run out of ideas for my original fanfic. But well, getting to the point, I invite you to read my best work in progress, Diary of the Last Living Beings, which is more than epic. It is not the best and I have many spelling mistakes, but it is quite good to read it while waiting for Chapters of this FIC, without further ado, take care of yourselves, see you soon, says goodbye to its most stupid, unknown and probably forever alienated writer in the world, Miguel 16310, short and long. P.S. Issei and Arya's battle song, look for it on YouTube is, Undertale Sans Stronger Than You, but of course, it is not the original version, I adapted it to Issei and Arya's situation while they were singing it, now yes, short change outside and whatever shusha. First previous ch5 of 12 next. Chapter 6, Chapter 5, The First Victim. Symbology. This is bad, thoughts. Throughout life, the greatest lesson you can learn is that the world is cruel to everyone, to some more than others. Drake. Valley, this is nothing I've ever seen. Albion, I don't think that's a good idea, Graphiat translation. Psy, explosions, nonsense, ECT asterisk effects. Chapter 5 Remake, The Third Victim and the First Friend, Asia Argento. Hyoudou Issei was walking with his hands in his pockets and his black sweatshirt on. The wind fluttered as the young brunette left a video game, anime and cosplay store with two completely full bags, in which there were various entertainment items, comics, sleeves, games, figurines, everything for him and his beloved twin Arya to celebrate their last day outside the Kuo Academy, and probably the last day in which they would be standing still and doing nothing against the bastards of the angels, the fallen and the demons, right? They were both eager to start their plans. Kya, was the moan that attracted Issei, making him turn around, and see a beautiful girl with golden hair, a white veil with light blue lines with a mini cross on the front, a long black dress with white lines, long white socks and little blackish shoes. Ouch. That hurts. Ow, that hurts. The girl exclaimed hurt. Hyoudou quickly detected the language of an American state. English was the language that girl carried and her vocal cords emanated from it. Luckily for him, he was a good connoisseur. This. Issei, hey, miss. Hey, miss, the brunette approached the blonde and extended his hand to her, raising her, leaving them both facing each other. Are you okay? Are you okay? The young man asked while picking up the suitcase, purple that had fallen next to the blonde. Oh, yes sir, I am okay, my name is Asia, Argento, and yours Mr. Oh, me, yes sir, I am, my name is Asia, Argento, and yours sir, I asked, and the girl spoke in a courteous and respectful but shy tone as she looked at him. Issei, nice to meet you Asia, my name is Hyoudou, Issei, nice to meet you Asia, my name is Hyoudou, Issei, by the way, as I see, you are not from here are you? As I see, you're not from here, right? The young brown man asked as he began to walk alongside the blonde. Asia, why? Yes, Issei-san, I am not from here, I was sent by the church to the one from this city, but I get lost, could you please help me? Yes, Issei-san, I'm not from here. I was sent by the church to the one in this city, but I got lost, could you please help me? The blonde asked fearfully, she didn't want to be alone. Issei, alright, with pleasure I will help you Asia, follow me, well, I will gladly help you Asia, follow me. So Issei and Asia walked slowly. The brunette liked the blonde, she was very sociable. She asked him how he knew English since it was obvious from his face that Issei was Japanese. The brunette obviously told her in the language they both had in common, who had quite a bit of knowledge about it due to his language classes at his old institute. Time passed, and they were both in front of the abandoned church of the city. Issei, well, little girl, we are here, see you later Asia. Well, little girl, here we are, see you later Asia, said the brunette as he left. Asia, thank you, goodbye, Issei-san, thank you, goodbye, Issei-san, she said, saying goodbye to the blonde with a sad look. Aibo, in that church I feel dark auras, there are supernatural beings in there, Drake said mentally, to which Issei's gaze quickly changed from a friendly one to a serious and gloomy one. Issei, I understand, I'll go for resurged, we'll act when night falls, said the brunette as he put on his hood and got lost among the trees around the church. House of the Hyoudou. Issei entered with a gloomy look, his eyes were covered by his hair, while Arya, seeing that her brother had arrived, ran down the stairs to the second floor to receive him, but she was greatly surprised when she saw the state of the room, that this one was found. Arya, Oni-chan, is something wrong? The brunette asked, surprised, until Drake spoke to her through the boosted gear that she had. Aibo-chan, Aibo found in the abandoned church of the city, or rather I found, unnatural auras, it is full of them, I felt human and fallen angel auras, it is time for them to act, said the Crimson Emperor Dragon. Arya's face quickly changed from a sweet one to one identical to Issei's. Both brunettes nodded and went up the stairs to get ready, both put on their suits and prepared and cleaned their weapons in question for the battle that was coming as night fell. From here on Issei will be called Malfado and Arya will be called Risen. Malfado, resurrected, this morning I met a girl our age, blonde and English speaking, her name is Asia Argento, she asked me to take her to the church and question where these fallen angels are found. I'm really sorry for her, but we both know what must be done, said the silver-masked man with a cold and monotonous tone of voice like a robot. Resurrected. I understand, so be it Malfado, we should not have mercy on anyone. Malfado, you said it. Time passed, night came and they both disappeared into a dimensional gap. Outside the abandoned church, the crack ripped through space-time, shining majestically in white and reddish-orange. From this came the two self-proclaimed heroes, and hid in the shadows while they analyzed the terrain. After an exhaustive examination, they decided that the most convenient thing to do was to enter through the front door. Clink. The two large doors opened, and from this came Resurrected at a calm pace. She looked around, benches, broken and old pillars, the altar, and from one of the pillars attached to it a silver-haired man with a trench coat and a face of his own emerged, of a mentally ill person released from an asylum. Fence, ha 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 ha. What we have here? An intrusive bitch. Tell me, little bitch, what brings you here? Asked the silver-haired man, to which Resurrected did not respond. Well, you're not talking, huh? Well, it's not like I care. After all, you're going to be worth shit in a few seconds. Ha. And quickly the platinum-haired man took out what in Resurrected's eyes turned out to be a handle of a sword and a gun. From the handle came what seemed to be a bright yellow blade. His expert eyes in weapons quickly detected that it was a blade made of light. The silver-haired man quickly launched himself against the metal-masked woman, who without any difficulty evaded the sword blow. Damn bitch. Stay still. You have no right to dodge attacks from me. The great murderous priest freed Selzen. In revealing his name, the platinum-haired man pointed his pistol at the girl and began to shoot. He is shot to death, you bitch. Bang 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 bang. At breakneck speed, the girl pulled out one of her ninjutsu from her waist, and grabbing it from behind and with a precise movement, she blocked the light bullets. Clank 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 clank. To Freed's surprise, his bullets of light were blocked by the shiny blade of the sword of the hooded female he was facing. This surprised him because his bullets of light were extremely fast, and even more surprised to see that the girl's sword was intact without any scratches from having blocked his bullets. Freed, wow, you're very clever, you miserable bitch, but you won't intimidate me. And launching himself against the girl and repeating his action, both combatants clashed their swords. Freed tried to shoot the hooded girl with his pistol, but with her free hand she held the one with the pistol, causing all the bullets fired to hit in the roof. Freed, son of a bitch, the young man shouted angrily as his anger increased, and he kicked the hooded woman in the torso, moving her away from him, causing her body to collide with some pillars, which collapsed and fell on her. Take that, bitch. Ha 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 ha. From among the rubble of the pillars, to the surprise of the platinum-haired man, Resurrected emerged. However, she was in perfect condition. Her suit was totally and completely intact, which indicated that it was made of a resistant material. Freed, damn prostitute. How dare you make fun of me? Exploding in anger, the priest began to rapidly fire his bullets of light at the girl. I will turn you into a fucking cheese. Even more without caring, the girl, even with her only ninjutsu sword, blocked all the bullets only by moving her hand and from time to time her entire arm. But she was not paying attention to her battle with Freed, but to the silhouette that was moving at her side. Slow and stealthy step behind it. Flashback minutes before entering. Malfado, Resurrected, I have detected the presence of a guard after crossing the door. You take care of him, do not waste your strength, do not fight, contain him. In the meantime, I will go behind him secretly and execute the typical maneuver of assassins, injecting him with the poison that you created for me a few days ago, said the metal bird masked man. Resurrected, understood, the young woman responded. End flashback. Meanwhile, from Malfado's point of view, he was entering through one of the windows of the church. Then, he saw the situation. Resurrected was containing the bullets of that guy who, according to Diedrag had told him, was called Freed Selzen, crouching down and taking advantage of the fact that he was hidden between one of the pillars and also the darkness that surrounded the entire stage. He took out from his belt a small bottle with a purple liquid with orange particles, which he placed in a circular hole in his gauntlet with needles, and pressing a button, slowly the glove mechanism began to suck the purple liquid and take it to the needles that covered the masked man's fingers. With Risen and Freed, he was already tired of shooting at his enemy's whore, so he changed his strategy. Now putting away his pistol, he grabbed his sword and quickly launched himself against his enemy. Freed, you've had enough of me, you son of a bitch. Raising her arms, I lower them forcefully with the intention of slicing the girl's body into two halves. Clank, zap, were the sounds of the blade of light and the blade of metal colliding against each other. Both swordsmen looked at each other and moving their hands quickly began to clash their weapons again and again and again. Clank, zap, clank, zap, clank, zap, clank, zap, clank, zap. Sword blows and sword blows came and went at great speed. Freed was getting fed up while Resurgence was analyzing his enemy's combat style. While, with Malice who was hidden in the darkness, he finally finished loading the liquid into his metal glove. After this, at a fast pace he approached behind Freed and then clack, Freed, gah, the platinum-haired man shouted, holding his neck and throwing a sword at the bird-masked man who dodged it. Freed composed himself while holding his neck. What the hell did you do? Damn bird, son of a bitch. The exorcist shouted angrily while he held his neck. Malfado, who did a somersault in the air and then landed next to Resurgita, carefully observed the opponent that his partner had been facing a few minutes ago. Just seeing the way he behaved and reacted, it was easy to know that it was a mentally ill in all its splendor. Freed, it's clear that I've lost this battle. But I swear to you that we will see each other again. The psychopathic murderer shouted furiously and then launched a sphere of smoke and disappeared with it. Resurrected, coward, whispered the woman as she approached the altar and holding the hilt of her sword. In a precise movement the altar turned into pieces of wood falling down long stone stairs towards the depths of the church. I detect the energies of Ossia Argento, 3 fallen angels and 50 exorcists, the red dragon spoke as its bearers descended the stairs. Malfado, Resurgita, let the massacre begin. Bam! The two large doors that led to the sanctuary where everyone was gathered were kicked open, revealing the two masked men. There were countless exorcists throughout the great place. In the background was the blonde Assia Argento on a cross surrounded by three fallen angels, one with a grey trench coat and hat with hair of the same color as if he were a detective. He also had a white shirt inside his trench coat, a blue-haired woman dressed as a secretary, being a type of elegant feminine suit of red wine color, and finally a little girl blonde with pigtails dressed in a maid's outfit. Issei. Okay, we have unwanted guests, whispered the man in the raincoat as he adjusted his hat, and in his right hand he saw a spear of blue light. Mittelt. Issei, Kalawarner, support the exorcists against them. I will stay to watch over the nun. The little girl with pigtails responded with a playful air as she looked coldly at her enemies. Kalawarner, whatever you say, the blue-haired girl responded, and then, together with the exorcists and the gray-haired man identified as Issei, went against the hooded men while a spear of yellow light was created in her right hand. Malfito, resurrected. The bird-masked man spoke telepathically while his eyes sharpened and his blood boiled as he saw his friend being manipulated by those horrible black-winged creatures with human appearance. Kill the woman and kill as many exorcists as you can. The man who looks like a detective is mine. Then, we will destroy the woman dressed as a maid, and then, we will give Asia a rest. The brunette answered with some regret while a tear ran down his face, but she had to do it. For her friend, the best option was permanent rest, so she wouldn't suffer knowing the things they would do in the future. But, if only she were different, maybe. She could having been on her side, but Issei knew she did not have the characteristics nor the ideals that a person should have to execute something like what they wanted to do. Risen, understood Malfito, good luck. The girl responded telepathically while taking out her two ninjutsu. Malfito Issei Hyoudou vs Issei. In a burst of light, the bird-masked man with his gauntlet being recharged with poison, collided with the fallen gray-haired man with great power, causing a mini shock wave to be released. Issei, you will pay for interfering in our plans, the fallen angel said with a cold tone while two spears of light were created, one in each hand, and he rose to attack the bird-masked man, who performed a pirouette with his right foot and with grace. I dodged the attacks of the gray-haired man. Malfito landed spinning, brought his gauntlet closer to his face and pressed one or another button on the gauntlet with his left hand. While the green liquid from the vial was integrated, the needles changed so that now instead of being refillable needles of variable substances, now they were golden-colored blades with silver details and bronze-colored Hebrew inscriptions. The bird-masked man, now with his gauntlet of striking blades, launched himself against Issei, who upon seeing him laughed in an arrogant manner, ready to dodge his attack with grace and impale his spear in his chest. But what was his surprise when he saw that the bird-masked man swept the ground passing between his legs and then did a break-dance movement on the ground and quickly delivered a kick to the back of the gray-haired man's head, sending him away. The fallen man tried to regain his composure using his black wings, releasing a rain of feathers around him when he released them. However, he could not see his enemy anywhere. Issei, where the hell did he go? The man exclaimed furiously while a vein throbbed on his forehead from anger. That blow had hurt him a lot. Come out, damn coward, he shouted angrily as he looked everywhere, moving his head from left to right. Exorcist, Issei-sama, be careful behind Sulo, shouted a hooded exorcist, warning the fallen man. By the time Issei received the warning, it was too late. His back was scratched by the blades of Malfito's gauntlet, who had strangely come out of the shadows as if he were part of them. When the gray-haired man was trying to recover from the scratch on his back, he received a direct hit in the face that sent him crashing against some pillars that supported the secret room. Female exorcist, damn bastard, you shouldn't be here, impure, shouted a girl with pink hair and purple eyes as her hood shook. The woman took out two swords of light and attacked the bird-masked man, but he blocked her with his hand where his gauntlet was located, stopping both swords. What? The girl responded scared and then felt a terrible pain in her eyeballs. Maybe, Ittaio. The woman screamed desperately while she held her face, crying tears of blood. The reason? Malfito in a quick movement dropped the swords and stuck his blades in the eyes of the pink-haired female, and then now that she was writhing, with a light movement he cut her neck and her severed head being held in his hand where his bloody blades rested. Malfito, Dio, the silver bird-masked man muttered aloud and then placed the woman's head on the ground. Requiescat in pace, he said while looking at the disfigured face of the poor girl whom he had just killed without remorse. But nothing that could be done. After all, she was an enemy. The Sekiryuuteis looked forward to see how he was surrounded by about 24 exorcists, both women and men, of all ages from teenagers to senior citizens. You are all weak. You all should think again the idea of fighting against me. I speak English, Silver masked as he looked around. Male exorcist, don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us, answered a man of apparently 40 years old who also knew the language. All the exorcists launched themselves against Malfito, who began to defeat them while the beep-beep of his gauntlet was getting louder and louder, indicating that the recharge of whatever he was using would be ready in a short time. A woman launched herself against a masked man in a tunic, but he dodged it and cut his jugular and threw his body to the ground. Then 3 exorcist men with swords of light rushed against him, but he quickly used another mechanism of his gauntlet, pressing a series of buttons, the shape change now having what seemed to be darts, and aiming at the neck of each exorcist he shot them quickly before they attacked. The darts made them begin to scream in pain and then foam came out of their mouths and they died. This time 4 women and 4 men went against him, thinking that this way they would beat him, and they all began to attack together with their lightsabers, but Malfito easily dodged their attacks by doing pirouettes, jumps in from time to time hesitating, then he changed the modality of his attack again. Gauntlet now returning to the blades, and with these he cut the faces of 2 of the exorcists who surrounded him. Then he threw a smoke bomb blinding the 6 exorcists who surrounded him, and with incredible mastery, he took out a metal needle with a red liquid and injected it into the necks of the 4 women and the 2 men who surrounded him, and then they began to scratch their skin until in front of the other 6 men and 6 women who remained against Malfado, they saw how their companions, those who had dared to attack him, tore the flesh and organs from their necks until they fell dead, all the blood from the bodies covering the black suit of the silver-masked man who now laid his eyes on the 12 remaining exorcists. Malfado, you should close your eyes. I promise that if you don't resist and close your eyes, I will kill you quickly, he said with a cold tone of voice while his voice became more and more distorted, which scared the 12 that remained in the room. Against him. But knowing that they had no chance, they closed their eyes, and as a sign of honor, they took off their hoods. Good decision. I promise it will be painless. And just as he said, the bird-masked man lulled the 6 male and 6 female exorcists to sleep and then inserted a blackish dagger into the hearts of each one. When his last exorcists were dead, finally emerging from the rubble was the fallen angel Danasik, who was now smiling. His trenchcoat was now off with only his shirt, and his stylish cap was a little torn by the rubble. Danasik, I must say, waiting for you to kill them all was boring. You made me fall asleep, you know, he said arrogantly and happily. The fallen angel, while now creating a spear of blue light again, only this one was shaped like a sword. Malfado, watching how your own companions are murdered. You supernatural beings are despicable, you disgust me. If this is what the angels who fell from heaven are like because of one of the 7 deadly sins, I don't want to imagine what will the demons be like. Danasik, you won't live to tell about it, human, he shouted angrily as his fedora flew away due to the momentum. Now Danasik was charging all his strength in this last attack against the masked man. It was all or nothing. Malfado changed the mode of his glove, being back in its standard mode, that of the needles, only now they were filled with a gray liquid, and just like his opponent, he launched himself against it. Bong! Was the sound of the shockwave of the clash of both attackers. Now both were back to back. One would be victorious, then. Danasik fell to the ground with a large scratch on his chest, indicating that Malfado's attack had winning result. Danasik, bad, say, Cian, the greyhound whispered with blood coming out of his mouth. He didn't know why, but he felt a lot of pain in his body, in the end. I was just weak, I'm sorry. Raynor, Kalawarner-chan, Midelt, I failed. All of them, the fallen angel whispered with a sad smile as he cried and looked at his blue-haired companion as her head was sliced open, and his blonde companion cried. While looking at him, and finally, she closed her eyes. The hero approached the gray-haired man's body, saw that his eyes were closed and knelt before him respectfully. Malfado, you have been a spectacular opponent and I truly thank you for that, fallen angel. You have been and your companions will be the first steps to purify this world of biblical factions. I greatly appreciate your contribution and I hope that, if it exists, get peace. Requiescat in pace, whispered the silver-masked man, and then looked towards the altar where Asia was suffering and where the golden-haired Lolita was standing. Next to him she was resurfaced with her ninjutsu bathed in blood. Now let's look at another point of view. Risen Arya Hyoudou vs Kalawarner. In a burst of light, the 2 women, the fall and the heroine along with 25 exorcists went to the other part of the place. Now the girl, seeing her blue-haired opponent, took out her second ninjutsu, now being with the 2 in each hand. This time he put them in a common position, showing that he would not fight seriously. He could feel it, the power of that fall was too weak. Kalawarner, prepare yourself, invading girl, you will be defeated and banished from this place along with your companion, said the blue-haired girl while invoking a spear of yellow light. She pointed it at Resurgence. Resurrected smiled and launched herself against Kalawarner. She imitated the action of her hooded opponent and the 2 women clashed their weapons forcefully. Kalawarner created another spear of light in order to impale it in the girl's abdomen. However, the attack was unsuccessful because Arya countered Kalawarner's attack with her right sword, then leaving the remaining spear of light free. Before the fall attacked, the girl quickly attacked now the fall's abdomen, which by jumping dodged the attack, and seeing that he was at a disadvantage, he stuck his spear of light into the ground, giving a small burst of energy that momentarily blinded the young woman. Resurrected, not seeing Kalawarner, she knew that the very coward was hiding. In her place, 25 exorcists appeared, surrounding her. Exorcist, while Kalawarner-sama prepares for you, we will face you, Assassin-san, said a black-haired man with blue eyes of no more than 20 years old. The girl smiled when she saw the exorcists. Her mask hid it, but Arya had a face of indescribable happiness. Kill, and dismember was what her body, her ninjas in her hands were screaming and begging for. She was driven by hatred like her twin. By the hatred of having murdered 2 teenagers who had nothing to do with it, and now they would pay for it. Starting with these 25 men and women who surrounded her, the girl wielded her weapons while he removed the hood from his head, revealing his brown hair that waved with the little breeze that came through the catacombs, and began to run in the direction of his opponents. Jumping in pirouettes, the girl began to dismember every male and female exorcist who came across her, dodging a sword of light. The girl bent over and stuck her swords pointing backwards into the chest of a black-haired woman, then with a slight movement of her hands, he cut it into small pieces, once again wielding his 2 ninjas and jumping on the ground while spinning and doing pirouettes. He landed, embedding his weapons in the face of a blonde-haired man. Then he removed them and embedded them in a purple film. Then he dodged the attack of a redhead and cut off his head. So it went on, until he counted 24 exorcists killed by his hand. His black hood was now red due to the blood of his dead opponents. But resurrected. And, where is the number 25? Asked the surprised girl while looking at the crimson blades of her weapons. I still have an appetite, where the hell? Then the girl had to suddenly dodge a large sword blow. It managed to cut part of her cape in her hair that fell to the ground. In front of her was a quite old man with a very ancient appearance. On his shoulder he had a large and enormous sword. Black in color with a strange blade with red engravings. The man was very old, but you could tell that he was an exorcist and a very powerful one because he could use that large sword with ease and agility. Something that stood out was that instead of having the hood and shirt that all dead exorcists wore, this man had black combat pants with black boots, a black trench coat and a black shirt. Exorcist, in the name of the fallen angels, Gregorian our beloved leader, Kokobil-sama, I must exterminate you, said the blonde while pointing his large weapon at the young woman. Arya smiled under her mask. This bastard reminded her of the protagonist of Final Fantasy, and even more so when she saw that they had an almost identical sword since it was a type of mixture of the sword of the protagonist of the saga and Ichigo's sword from Bleach. Leaving aside her otaku mind, the girl wielded her two ninjutsus from behind like a character she admired, Captain Levi from Shingeki no Kyojin. It was her serious battle stance, and she would need to fight really seriously against this bastard. Resurrected, prepare yourself, miserable dog of darkness, your head will roll and my hood will bathe in your blood. The young woman rhymed as she ran against the blonde and he did the same against her. Clamp, clank, were the sounds of the two ninjas colliding with all their power against their enemy's great sword. The fight between the blonde and the brunette's short sharp weapons was incredible. Shockwaves came out from time to time due to the clashes of power and strength imprinted by both. In an oversight on the part of the blonde who realized it late, the girl took advantage and cut off his right arm, severing it, and then before he screamed she tore off his head. It was her favorite method of annihilation, decapitation. It was easy, fast and above all, it stained his hands with more blood, which was the best part. When the body of her toughest opponent so far fell dead, Calawarner appeared from the shadows trembling, but still with a look of anger against her. Calawarner, I will end all this once and for all, said the blue-haired girl and then wielded a spear of light in the shape of a sword. This one was brighter than the others and was larger. I will use all my physical and magical power in this last one. Lunge. Get ready, monster, the blue-haired girl shouted full of anger. Arya smiled. Everything was going to end when her head rolled on the floor. She prepared her ninjutsus and mentally transferred a little energy to them with the help of Deidre. And then, both of them launched themselves at each other at the same time, in order to finish everything. Clank, za app, boom. There were the sounds of the ninjutsus and the sword of light colliding, and then a shock wave became present. Both women were on their backs intact, until Calawarner smiled regretfully and tears began to fall from his eyes. He smiled, and with the force of Arya's push in the form of wind, his head fell to the ground. Returning to the present, Mithilde was terrified. Her two strongest companions had died in front of her eyes along with the 50 exorcists who were here. She was afraid, very afraid. She was the weakest of her group, with Raynor, Calawarner and Danasik being the strongest in that order. Being at the end, she didn't know what to do. She didn't want to die, not yet, so maybe, just maybe, they would have mercy. She knelt down and started crying, not falsely but truly. When the man with the bird mask and the woman with the hood were in front of her, she knelt with her forehead resting on her hands and began to cry and beg. Mitlet, Page, sniff sniff please. Do not kill me, I beg you, have mercy on me. Poor Loli begged while she looked forward with her eyes full of tears. You can take Asia, but please, do not kill me, I beg you, please. This was all Kokobil-sama's plan. She said that if we killed sacred gear wielders and stole this nun's twilight healing, she would rank all four of us in Grigori. I swear, please, let me go, she begged as she looked at her executioner, the girl. In response, Malfado took his bare hand to his mask and removed it, showing the face of Hyoudou Issei, the boy Raynor went to kill a few weeks ago. Then the young man knelt at the height of the blonde and placed his head on her right shoulder. I whisper a few simple words. Issei, requiscat in pace. Didn't she said after those words, the poor fallen angel felt sleep coming to her body. She didn't feel pain, but for some reason she was very sleepy, so she closed her eyes and fell asleep. He lay on the shoulder of the young man who strangely felt very good, and fell asleep, forever. Asia, Issei-san, the blonde exclaimed, impressed when she saw her friend behind the mask and that he was responsible for the massacre she had witnessed. The blonde began to cry with happiness, thinking that he had come to rescue her. Why? Did you come? For me, the girl said hopefully in Japanese, because she had been forced to learn it in recent weeks. Issei, I'm sorry Asia, the boy said with a cold look which scared and destroyed the blonde's hopes, but I didn't come to rescue you. I came to save you. But forever. And after these words the young man unchained the blonde and laid her on his shoulder while she began to cry, forgive me Asia. You don't have to suffer. You will never be alone. But you can't be here either, neither with me, nor with Arya, Asia, Page, why? Sob I want to be with Issei-san. He is my friend. He came to help me. He did all this. For me, right? The golden-haired girl asked with tears in her eyes, afraid to hear the answer. Issei, I'm sorry. I'm really. But things are going to happen that I don't want you to know about. But I want you to know something, always. Always, he shouted the brunette while he began to cry and hug the blonde, attaching her to him and surprising her. I will always be your best friend. I will never abandon you, and, because I love you so much Asia, and, you are my best friend. I want you to sleep, and to be happy, because I swear, I promise, that I will avenge everything that has happened to you, said the boy, and then put his hand on the blonde's head and she closes her eyes. Good night Asia. Asia, good, night. Saw, or, the blonde whispered as she closed her eyes. Issei, requiescat in pace. Mon Cherry whispered the young man while tears fell from his eyes staining Asia's face who, strangely, looked happy, very happy to have had a friend and a first love. I swear that all the fallen angels will pay in your name. And also the angels for abandoning you, everyone will pay for harming such a good person that you were. I swear. End of chapter 5. Well, that's it, I washed my hands. Now finally, the spelling mistakes have been corrected and the chapter is also a little extended, such as the scenes of Issei talking to Asia, then the battle of Arya vs Calawarner. I hope you liked it. Laughing faced. See you. First previous ch 6 of 12 next.